The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. My screen is doing all kinds of interesting things, but thrilled to be here with you guys. And it is time for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Shannon Penrod, and I don't know where Nancy is. I'm a little worried. I thought she was coming here, and maybe she might be in the waiting room, they said. If she is in the waiting room, let her in, Draven. Let her in, let her in. I'm thrilled to be here with you on this Wednesday. This is how complicated this week has been. Is that Miss Nancy?
Yes. Hi, Shannon. For some reason I'm having a problem getting on my computer, so I'm on my phone.
Okay. Well, hey, that works. I was just saying to them, welcome. I was telling them welcome. It's Wednesday, but it's not. It's Friday. That's how discombobulated I am.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, we got a couple of things going on here this morning. You may hear some new barking in my makeshift studio here. I have a new guest in here. His name is Charles the Cheese. And if at some point he comes over here, I might pick him up and show you guys. He is the new pet at our house. We have adopted one of Joanne Laura's dogs. And he just came to our house last night, and we're very excited that he's here. We're socializing him with my dog, my Cujo dog, and so we're keeping them separate right now. So that's why Charles is locked in here with me. So he may growl at some point, and you might hear my dog freaking out on the other side of the door. It's all part of life. We also want to do a big shout out to our wonderful friend, Joanne Lara. And her birthday was 2 days ago. And originally Joanne had said that she wanted to have a birthday party celebration of life party that she was going to be holding today. She's still in the hospital, so that is not happening. But what I love is that her close friends are going to be having a celebration for her and of her life today, that we are hoping that she will have an opportunity to watch from the hospital. We're gonna be doing that over on the Ed Asner Family Center, the Center at Home show, which is at 3 p.m. Pacific time. There's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna be coming in. Some celebrities apparently might be showing up. We're all gonna tell happy, wonderful stories about Joanne and amazing times that we've had with her. And so you can go on Facebook and go to the Ed Asner Family Center and check that out. It starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon Pacific time. Nancy, are you going to be able to join in that?
Yes.
Oh, we got a little bit of an echo. I think you got to mute. Is your computer working now? You're going to have to mute one of your things. You got more than one thing going.
Leave the other one. Let me.
Now we got it. Okay. No.
Now we've got it.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So you are going to be a part of that. I know I'm going to be there this afternoon too, to talk about our girl and how much we love her.
Yes. So we just go to the Ed Asner Family Center on Facebook.
Yeah, and it will start to play there on Facebook Live. And if any of you aren't able to tune in at exactly that time, I believe you can watch it later on in the day that it's recorded, and you can tune in later on. And by the way, that show is every 3 o'clock, and that's every Friday. They have a show every Friday, and I know they got a couple of things that they're going to do in the beginning. So at about 3:20, is when we're going to start the celebration of Joanne Laura. And Matt said we're going to go as long as it takes. And there's a lot of people who are going to be telling fun stories about Joanne. And if you got fun stories that you want to tell about Joanne, and we're just celebrating the hey nani nani out of her today, because it was her intention to do that. That was what she wanted to do if she wasn't in the hospital. So she's in the hospital, and we're going to pick up that thread for her and carry on. And Nava's with us. And so Nava, we're all excited about being there this afternoon to celebrate Joanne. Nava is saying something else that I want to say. She's saying happy birthday to Jem. It is my son's 17th birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Jem.
How did that happen? How did he get to be 17? And you know what's funny is that I do think that we feel the passage of time in other people's kids, not our own.
Right.
So when Wyatt turned 18, I was like, Wyatt is 18?
I
And
know.
I'm a little freaked that Jem is 17, but there have been other people who've been messaging me all morning going, well, that went fast. How did that? It's so funny. But yeah, I have a 17-year-old. How did this happen? But we're very excited. I feel like a failure of a mother because I started ordering birthday presents for him a month ago. On Amazon and ordering all these things to come, and not a single thing. Some birthday candles have arrived and a birthday banner, but not a single present has arrived. They one was damaged en route and another one is delayed. They promised us all week it's coming today. It's coming today. And I ordered like 35 things, y'all, because I wanted to be covered, and nothing has come. I'm hoping that something shows up before the end of the day, or I'm going to start crocheting something, and I don't know how to crochet.
How is he celebrating? Are you doing a get together or?
We're not. I mean, I asked him, we always have a birthday party for him, and he was like, nope. He is doing a celebration online with his friends because he's 17 and that's how it rolls apparently. But him and a bunch of his friends, they're going to play a game together online later on tonight. So
Okay.
I baked a birthday cake already. It's cooling. All it has to be done is frosted. And
What type of cake is it, Shannon?
it is a gluten-free vanilla cake. That's what he asked for. It is a King Arthur mix, and I'm like, they don't sponsor us, but they should, because I'm just going to tell you, there are a lot of gluten-free things that I have made and tried, and some of them are okay, some of them are great, and some of them are spectacular. I'm going to tell you the two most spectacular gluten-free things. Well, okay, I'm going to say the three most spectacular gluten-free things that we make, that it doesn't matter whether somebody is gluten-free or not. And by the way, these are gluten-free, dairy-free, and it doesn't matter. I can have the most hardcore, I don't eat, I like eat gluten, I eat dairy, and everything that's gluten-free, dairy-free tastes off to me. The three things are the King Arthur vanilla cake mix, the yellow cake mix. It is the hardest thing to come by. You have to special order it. It's expensive. It's price gouging, but it is the best cake on the face of the planet. And you don't even have to frost it. I personally think it's better unfrosted because it's super sweet and it gets this like thin crust on it. It's so good. It's the best.
Right.
That's what I made for Wyatt's birthday party.
And it was wonderful, I have to say, and beautiful.
It's the best cake ever. So so there's that. The other thing is breads from Anna, pumpkin and banana bread. Best thing ever. There's not even any sugar in it, folks. It's crystallized honey in it. And you add bananas or honey. You have to special order it. You usually can't get it in stores. Breads from Anna, banana bread and pumpkin bread. Best thing ever. I think I gave you some for Christmas. A mix. Best. Did you not love it? Did you?
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's amazing stuff. And I can feed it to people and not tell them that it's gluten-free, and they don't know. They're like, this is the best pumpkin bread I've ever had. Gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. And then the other thing is that there is Kroger, and out here it's Ralph's where we are. They make a gluten-free organic chicken strip that is amazing. And my little nieces that are not gluten-free, that's all they'll eat anymore. They're my grandnieces, so their mom always says to me, you turned them on to those gluten-free chicken nuggets, and they're kind of expensive. But they're the best thing ever. So anyway,
we have a party going on here today. I think I told you we've had friends staying with us since the beginning of the quarantine.
You've mentioned that. You're amazing, Nancy. I just
They've
don't.
been here since March. We've had a commune and a household of 6 now, and plus the 2 dogs. And it's the young girl, Riley. She turned 11 today. So they're in there
Oh,
making a gluten-free, dairy-free confetti cake. Have you ever had a
oh,
confetti cake?
I have not had a confetti cake, so that
You
sounds
put
really fun.
sprinkles in the cake. So
Wow.
we'll be having that later today. So lots of birthdays going on.
Well, tell her that we said happy birthday.
Yes, and please tell Jem we said happy birthday.
It's all these Geminis because it's Nava's birthday this week too.
Oh,
And of course it was Joanne's birthday, but it's Nava Paskowitz Asner birthday. Nava, tell me, is it Monday? I know it's sometime really soon. And then it's Jem's birthday and your friend's daughter, and it's Rachel Bird's birthday. I think it's next Wednesday on the 10th. Yeah, Wednesday is her birthday. So it's all these Geminis.
mhm.
I love me some
It's
Gemini.
Susan Osborne, who is involved with Autism Works now.
That's
She's
right.
Joanne's partner. It's her birthday today, so we want to
That's
give a shout
right.
out to her.
That's right. She shares a birthday with Jem. Amazing. So happy birthday to Susan. So all of those things going on, and we've got a great guest for you here today, but we've got some news. Were you able to get what I sent you, Nancy?
Yes, I was.
Because you know me, I'm going to go off a little bit. I am want to do that. I had said the other day, and we've been talking about it every day, and I want to be very clear. And I don't want, there have been some people who have had, I don't know, I don't understand. But everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I want to be very clear that we are here on Autism Live. We are in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. We are in support of Black Lives Matter, and that we feel that it's not enough for us to just say it, but that we need to do better and be better here. And a friend of the show, someone I love and respect, sent me an email. Sent me a Facebook post this morning that they wanted to post on my page with a video, and said, I think you'd be interested in watching this. This woman seems very informed and has done her research. And I started watching the video, and it is a young Black woman who says, I was afraid of retribution. I didn't want to come out and say this, but she goes on to give this impassioned speech about how she is not in support of George Floyd. And while I respect our viewers' right to her opinion, I respect this young woman's right to her opinion, the top of my head came off and flew around the room, because her argument, and I did not stay for the whole thing because I couldn't, I was like gonna throw up on her. But her argument is that the Black community is the only community that stands in defense of members of their society, that she refers to them, I don't want to misquote her, but she says the lowest common denominator. And she says
Okay.
they're the only group in society that does that. And that is the premise upon which she builds her entire argument about how, this George Floyd thing is, and she does say, I'm not in support of what the cop did, but, why have we come forward for this person who was part of the lowest common denominator of our portion of society? And as a mother of an individual on the spectrum, it made my blood boil, because and it also offended me, because if that were true, there would be no one who was interested in prison reform. There would be no public defenders that were any other color in the rainbow than Black, and that is not true. And my position is that it is justice for all. Even when you have broken the law, you are entitled to justice. And so I said to the friend, I'm so, I appreciate you get to have your opinion, but I find this offensive. I'm not posting it on my page. And I had said the other day when we were talking about this, I said, if you cannot look at that video of that police officer with his neck on that man's, with his knee on his neck, and say, and everybody be sitting there so calmly as he says, help, I can't breathe, and nobody changing what they're doing at all, and nobody saying maybe we should try something different. If you can't look at that and be 100% clear that that is not justice, if you can't, if you can't look at that and be worried about humanity, that as parents of kids who are differently abled, we have to be concerned about that, because we have also seen this happen with our kids. That we
Right,
have,
which is a good lead into our first story
which
today.
is why I'm bringing it up.
Okay,
And
great.
I said then, like, I've said all along, and it leads into our guest that we're having with us today, because if we do not give our police better training and police them to do their training, it is to the detriment of all. And it's certainly, you cannot deny that it has been the detriment of people whose skin is dark. If they are any kind of brown or black, it has been to their detriment. But I'm telling you, it is to the detriment of all of us. If we do not have justice for all, then we might as well shove everything into the ocean. And we're already seeing that this is causing unrest in the Middle East, which leads us into our first story today. Nancy, do you want to talk about this while I take a breath and calm down?
Yes, this story is about an autistic, a man. I think he was he was 32. He was a Palestinian, and he was shot by Israeli police, and they believed he had a gun, but he did not have a gun. They found after they shot and killed him that there was no weapon on him. He was on his way to, or either on his way or coming from the center where he goes for a workshop.
Because he's on the spectrum, and he
he's
has
on the spectrum. He's autistic. He only
limited,
spoke to his mother and father.
yeah, limited ability to communicate.
Yeah, only spoke to his mother and father.
Right. And the police, for whatever reason, saw him as a person who was suspect. They asked him to stop. He didn't. They pursued him. He ran. His parents say that they do not think that he understands what a police officer is. And so they shot him and killed him. He was shot twice in the chest. A young man on the autism spectrum. And as a result of there are people protesting, and saying that this is not right. This is not going to work. And of course, the Palestinians are saying that this is their equivalent of a George Floyd.
Right. There are actually signs. They had protesters with signs, "Justice for Iland" and "Justice for George."
But the Palestinian Authority has now responded by saying it is no longer, as a result of this, bound by agreements with Israel and the United States, which backs Israel keeping part of the West Bank, including those relating to security. So this is having ginormous repercussions in the Middle East. Like, we're talking about a very unstable region to begin with, but this single act is threatening to topple the entire thing. And think about this. Think about having a 32-year-old young man who is walking to his center where he is going to be for the day, and he is shot and killed by the police. And later on, when they checked him, they saw that he clearly did not have a gun. But if we do not give better training to our police, not just here in the United States, but around the world, how can we expect anything different to happen? We've already seen this happen many, many times. There was the story that we covered 2 years ago, Nancy, the young man who had Down syndrome, and his caregiver took him to the movies and said, "I'm going to go get the car. You stand right here and wait." He started hand flapping. It elevated into something. And by the time the caregiver came back, he was dead on the sidewalk because an off-duty policeman had held him face down, and he choked. And he died. They don't get to do do-overs. If we don't and there was the young man last year who had the little piece of string and was playing with the string outside the office, where his mother was, looking out the window watching him. She turned around and a police officer had him on the ground and he was scuffed up, but she, was within running distance. Who knows what could have happened? Look, I understand that it's a difficult thing for the police officers, but if we don't give better training, and if we don't police when they target specific people, and if we are saying that they are not targeting people who have darker skin, we are lying to ourselves. We have to do better. Have to do
Right.
better.
I mean, I think as mothers, we all put ourselves in the place of the mothers of these young people. And, I can't even imagine why. I could see Wyatt running from the police if he didn't understand what they were asking for.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And our
I mean,
guest
we see
today,
our own children.
our guest today is going to talk to us about, for our kids, what we can do for the other side. I want to be very clear that I am not equating these things with what happened to George Floyd. Because it's a different set of circumstances, but I do think that training our police and policing our police are the answer to both questions. However, there are things that we can do on our side as parents of individuals that are, differently abled, to help them to minimize, if they are stopped by the police, that they aren't caught up in something difficult. Because Tom Iland is going to be here with us, and he and his mom have been at the forefront of that.
Absolutely. Emily has been a real advocate for
Yeah.
police safety. And I'm glad we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we do have other stories here, and they're of a nicer ilk. And I had to look far because there were so many bad stories. But I wanted us to have something uplifting.
Great story.
I did not know that PBS was starting a new animated series with a superhero kid. It's a group of superhero kids, and one of them is on the autism spectrum. We're really
right. It's called Hero Elementary.
And I love it. I love that each one of the kids has a superpower, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily an easy thing. So one of the kids can fly, but is afraid of heights. How much do you love that? There's a girl with the power to teleport, a boy who creates force fields of bubbles, and there is a boy with an array of really cool gadgets who's on the autism spectrum.
Right.
And I so love this. Thank you, PBS. You guys are always at the forefront. We've seen please, Mr. Rogers, was incredible in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s with what he was doing to help children to be able to language the things that adults just don't know how to deal with, right? But kids, when we give them the right information and say, here's a kid who can do this, they're not so good at this, but they can do this, kids get it. Kids get it. So thank you, PBS. We're really excited. I don't see here when it's about to start, but it's each episode is only 11 minutes. It says, it premieres on Monday. It premieres on Monday on PBS stations and on PBS Kids 24/7 channel and PBS Kids digital platforms. They're recommending it for ages 4 through 7, but you know what? I would say for anybody who wants to watch it, because sometimes we have kids that are a little bit older who might find this really something very exciting. And
right. Hero Elementary, once again, is the name of the show. And they don't make a big deal about the character of AJ Gadgets. They just, he's part of the team. They don't single out his autism. He does have some issues like not liking sensory issues, doesn't like loud noises or wet clothes, and he doesn't like to be apart from his beloved backpack.
Yeah, but he shows up whenever they have a mission to do. Yeah. He's a part of the problem solving. And I love that each one of the kids has something that they're good at, but something that they have an issue with. It makes me very happy. Okay, now on our last story for the day, I thought this was really heartwarming. There's a young man who's on the autism spectrum who is brilliant at making balloon sculptures. I don't know, Traven, if you were able to get the pictures, if you want to show them some of the pictures. But ever since the COVID emergency, he's been making these balloon sculptures.
Look at that. Look at that postal truck. Isn't that amazing?
Not amazing?
With the post office worker.
He is just absolutely, they call it his awesome, AUSOME talent, that he's able to do this. And then he does it just with so much joy, and then he does it very quickly. His name is Iland. He's 22 years old. He's in New Jersey. And so he goes by the name Awesome Balloon Creator. And he's been doing these since he was 10. So we absolutely love it. And he's been making them for first responders. So I just absolutely love these. Have you got another picture? Is that the only one, Traven? It might be the only one. It might be. But I would encourage you, go online. This was a story that was in CNN. We're getting an echo again. I don't know.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
Am I okay?
I don't know, but it might have been somebody in your house watching. I don't know. But because as soon as the door shut, it stopped. But in any case, we are encouraging you to check out on CNN to check out all the other things that he does there. So we have an amazing guest who is with us today, and we already sort of teased that. Thomas Iland is a wonderful. Is he here with us already, Traven? Because if he is, you can have him join us. He is an amazing advocate, a self-advocate. He's a coach. He's an international speaker. I'm sorry, I've got papers galore. There he is, looking all handsome and COVID bearded.
Hi, Tom.
Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to have you with us.
Likewise.
I love all the sculptures that men are doing. They're like finding, and it's like, well, today, and of course I've done it on my head. I just like keep shaving my head. But everybody's finding, my son the other day came down with these like, Abraham Lincoln lamb chops.
Yep. Yeah, the mutton chops, I've done that too.
Right. Everybody's having such a good time with the grooming thing. But so you look handsome, you look good. And I was just mentioning that you do a lot of things, that you're an international speaker. And we got a bunch of things that we want to talk with you about, but I think we want to start with talking to you about autism and COVID-19. And what I know that you've got some things to say about what this is like for folks on the spectrum. Where do you want to start?
Well, and I know that with Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, and everything that's happening, I am happy to talk about any topic, be it something we plan to talk about or something that has come up. I am flexible as to what you want to ask.
Well, and maybe we should start there, Tom, since you brought it up, because I was just saying about how you and your mother have been at the forefront of teaching people how to teach individuals with different abilities to interact with the police.
Certainly.
But also training the police. You guys have been training the police too. Yeah.
And for those of the viewers that may not have seen or heard me speak before, I'm Tom Iland. I'm on the autism spectrum, and a lot of work I've done for a long time, about 20 years. I've been talking to police officers, starting with the Los Angeles Police Department, about autism, sharing my story and having them see that this is what a person with autism can look like. And there was a comment earlier in the chat here that you can't see autism with the naked eye all the time. So for that young man that got shot in the Palestinian region, he may have looked like he didn't have anything going on, but it's what happened still happened. So my mother and I have been training LAPD officers. One day an officer said to us, Emily, that's my mother, I could know someone has autism, but if they run, I still have to chase them. And if they fight with me, I have to fight back and win. So who is teaching the young people to not run and not fight? And the answer was nobody. So my mother, being the proactive person she is, decided to take it upon herself to make an entire movie called Be Safe. Be Safe, the movie, has scenes, images, and movies of people behaving and acting positively and appropriately with police, because we have discovered, my mother and I, that training the police is not enough anymore. We also have to teach our young people about what the police expect, how to identify them, how to follow instructions. Even if someone doesn't speak, that doesn't mean they can't learn. And people with autism learn from watching movies. It sticks in their minds. They'll play it out the way they remember it to a T. And that has saved lives. And my mother and I recently had a discussion with mothers of Black boys, or MOB for short, to discuss how we can incorporate Be Safe into the African-American community and the kind of things they're going through on a daily basis.
And I love that you guys are working the equation from both sides. I do believe that there are, and I have to believe that the vast majority of police officers are people that are in, just like teachers, they're in it for the right reason. And I want to believe that these people are loving and accepting of our kids, and that they are not racist and out for an agenda. But we cannot deny that, and I will not deny that, watching that videotape and watching 4 people, just stand there casually, I just can't even. So I love it that we're providing training, because I do think that there is that police officer, the issue that they have, that when they're in a situation, they have to respond, right? Like you were saying, and I love that police officer saying, whether he's on the spectrum or not, I have to pursue, and I have to, so I do think it takes training on both sides. I suspect it's going to take a lot of policing, though, because we can teach somebody something, but if we don't ensure that they utilize it on both sides, then we're not going to reach the place where we need to reach. So I love, I've been a big fan and have endorsed Be Safe the movie and continue to do that. I think it's a really important thing for us all to share with all of our kids. Where can people go to get it, Tom?
So there's a website, www.besafethemovie.com, and you can order the DVD there. It has 7 episodes, 1 hour in total. There's also a Be Safe Teaching Edition, which has the movie and a 300-page curriculum on a CD-ROM with lessons, activities, and games, if you will, and the script of the movie episode. So you can print out the pages you want as many times as you want and use that in your lesson plans. And the movie has Spanish subtitles. The curriculum is available in Spanish because, in addition to African Americans, we look at the Latino community and the dangers that they may face. And we continue to train police. And my mother has the only evidence-based police training on autism in America. It was studied by PhD candidates, and the candidate data showed that officers were more competent and confident on how to handle people with autism after that training. It's called Experience Autism. So if you go to www.experienceautism.com, you can access the police training. www.besafethemovie.com for tools, items, products, services about teaching young people how to interact with the police with and without autism. This movie can help anybody, really. And police love it. It's like, we wish everyone knew what was in this movie.
Yeah. No, I do think it's important. And I want to say, too, that if you're watching this and you're a parent and you're like, well, I wish my police department would do this. I think in almost all cases, it was driven partially by a parent, that a parent, takes, you have the ability and the right today to call your local police department and say, hey, on a day when you don't have as much going on this summer, can I come by with my child and have you meet my child, and can they tour the police department and see your squad cars and introduce your child on the spectrum to them and to the squad car, have them, talk to your child, have them ask questions. And while you're there, ask them and say, would you be interested? I know there's a great training. If I was to help you to connect with some people, would you guys be willing to do a training? And I think that's how it happens more often than not, is that somebody in the community is driving it and saying, here, I had the benefit that most of the time that my son was growing up, we lived in the same community as Tom and Emily. We've since moved away, but I had the benefit. So my police department was already trained. And what an amazing thing that was, that my police department was already trained. So, Emily did that for our community, do that for your community, and utilize what Emily created. And that, Tom, you've been a part of it too, and you help disseminate the message. And I don't want to belittle what you do, because you're a really important part of it, a part that the rest of us can't speak to, because it's that thing of nothing about us without us. And I think it's really important that your voice is in there being heard as well. So we love that. Check out Be Safe the movie. But now let's go back. And Nancy, anything I'm not letting you have an opportunity to speak.
No, I just want to reiterate how important it is to be aware of some of these safety best practices when dealing with the police. And this really can help young people know how to interact and how to keep themselves safe, which is so important.
And I just want to acknowledge some of the things people are writing in. Linda has said, thank you, Tom Iland, for your good work. Rachel is saying, hi, Thomas. I think it's Raquel actually is saying, hi, Thomas. I think it's great to give information to our first responders. And Amanda says, that's great. So maybe now we can talk a little bit about COVID, because this has been hard on everyone, but I think it's particularly hard for people on the autism spectrum. There are some different things that are hard. Tom, talk to us about that.
And I'll kind of segue from be safe into COVID here, because
Yeah.
prior to COVID, my mother and I would go around the country uniting local police departments with the people with autism and other learning differences in their community and bridge that gap and build that understanding. And the local news crews would cover it. The parents would be there on the sidelines watching the magic happen and unfold before their very eyes. So with COVID-19, we have not had the chance to have these gatherings and build the community that we want, but we are still giving webinars, virtual presentations, and still keeping the conversation going, even if we can't physically meet. On that note, I want to say that I think what's happening right now with the social isolation, the high degree of uncertainty, the anxiety resulting from said uncertainty, is the potential for a lesson in empathy for the world to see and feel what it's like to have autism right now. Because people with autism have grown up our entire lives being alone, socially isolated, maybe making our own fun in the house, not going outside or hanging out with people as much or at all, and also not knowing when this is going to be over, if things can be back to the way they were. All of that uncertainty that the whole world is feeling right now, this is how people with autism are on a daily basis. So this is a brief synopsis, if you will, of saying, let me say, welcome to our world.
Yeah, it's a great, interesting viewpoint, Tom. And I think it's important that people take a little introspection and take a look at that. It's interesting because some people are thriving in this environment, and they're like, "Oh, it's so much easier to stay home. I'm okay staying home." I won't say that I'm thriving, but I do. I would rather just stay home the rest of my life. I would like to be able to. I would like to see other people. I would like to be able to hug other people. I miss everybody, but I don't ever want to leave my house. And people are writing in about their kids and saying the same thing. And for other people, this is interminable. And it's just like suffocating to them to not have that social in face to face. Like like this is enough for me. For a long time. At some point, I would want to hug you guys, but this is enough for me to be talking with people, and I can call people on the phone. But it isn't for other people. Other people are like, I'm not getting that social component that I need to feel my well-being. So it's not equal and even for everybody. But you say that there's a way that we can increase productivity during COVID. Talk to us about that. I'd like to get more done.
So I consider myself a bit of an extroverted introvert. So I like going outside, seeing what's out there, taking on new experiences, but I'm also all right chilling at home, making my own fun and building myself from the inside out. So with COVID-19 and not having as many physical or group sessions or speaking opportunities, I'm still setting goals for myself. And more importantly, I'm writing down what I want to accomplish. And I'm going to introduce something that I've started doing that could help anybody that wants to continue to be productive or help yourself to know what you want to do and get things accomplished, even if you're not leaving the house. So you may have heard of vision boards. Like you take magazine clippings, you put them onto a board, and it envisions like, this is what my future is going to be like. This is what I picture for myself. Well, I'd like to introduce to you vision carding. Vision carding. What I'm doing is every month I'm identifying 5 goals and writing them down on the cards here.
I'm trying to see what they say, but
it's June. So that's June. And then we get into July, goal 1 of 5, all the way. The months go by all the way to the end of December, goal 5 of 5. So as I complete the goals, I toss the card.
Okay.
And I have them here on my coffee table. So it's like, okay, I have to provide these items to this person, or this is something I'm going to do to build my business. This is a book I'm going to read by the end of the month. And speaking of books, I've been doing a lot more reading and less TV since COVID took place. I no longer watch TV during the day. I'm reading books. I have a whole shelf of them, and I'm starting to really look at myself and see where I want to go
I'm
in my
curious
life.
what you like to read, Tom. I picture you being a self-help book person, that you're reading through self-help books, but is there, what is your genre? What do you love to read?
Personal development and self-help books. I just finished Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. It's a
Love
very,
me some
very
Tony
empowering book. I'll grab the one I'm reading off my coffee table here. It's my brother got me this one for Christmas, and I'm reading. It's called Thinking in Systems by
Oh,
Donna Meadows. So I'm starting to look at how connected we are in society, what is needed to make a system work, the elements, the processes, the outcome, or the purpose. How is that going to work, and how can I incorporate systems to increase my influence in the world, if you will?
yeah. Now, Nancy, I used to read self-help and that self-actualization, kind of that genre that you're talking about. I used to read those all the time, Nancy, and I can't remember the last time that I got a self-help book. How about you? Do you?
Yeah, I'm reading a lot of novels right now. I've been going through about 2 to 3 novels every 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
So yeah, but I used to read a lot of self-help books, and Tom, you're kind of inspiring me to go back there. The Tony Robbins book sounds really interesting. Unlimited
Tony
Potential.
Robbins.
It's a good time to set personal goals. A really good time to set personal
It
goals.
is.
'Cause we
And I
have
love
more
the
time to
idea.
work on them.
I love the idea of putting them on the cards. I think the last self-help book that I read was The Power of Positive Thinking. And in that, they tell you to put draw a picture on a card, on 3 cards, and put it in different places where you'll run across it all the time.
Right.
And so that you'll be reminded that that's something that you want. I have those cards. But I like yours too, Tom, that that there's like 5, is it 5 per month?
5 per month, yes.
And then you toss it when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to get too personal, but can you give us an example of a card that you've been able to toss?
Yes, I recently competed in a Toastmasters contest. It's called the International Speech Contest. It's 5 to 7 minute speeches of what I want to tell the world. And I won at my club level, and I won at my area level. The next level was division. I unfortunately did not win that, and so I wouldn't be winning the district contest. So I had to toss the cards that obviously wouldn't be happening. But the cards that I have accomplished, I was able to secure a nomination for a very prestigious award that I've been nominated for through a nonprofit called Junior Chamber International, or JCI, Junior Chamber International. It's a humanitarian organization. Its members are age 18 to 40, and they have a program called 10 Outstanding Young Americans, or TOYA for short, 10 Outstanding Young Americans. And I'm going to find out if I win that in October. I've been nominated for that award. So that's a big iron in the fire I've got. I've also, through COVID-19, something that I accomplished, I've established what's called an advisory group, a business advisory group. My siblings and I are looking to have my financial independence be a priority, have a business to call my own a priority. So we have Tom's Business Advisory Group, or TBAG for short. We call it TBAG, Tom's Business Advisory Group. So they'll give me action items like develop a business plan, provide these items to us, or tell us what you would like in X, Y, and Z. And I write that down and then give it to them. And then we discuss it once a week or every other week on Zoom like this. So I can start to develop a business for myself and have my own money and be able to cut myself away from my parents in that sense. They support me. Like, I live in a condo that they own, but I pay them rent every month. But I know my parents one day are not going to be here, and I need to be able to fly with my own wings.
Yeah, I love that. And it's just like having a board of directors. You got to be answerable to people, and we all are, whether we realize it or not. I love that. People are writing in and saying that they are loving reading too, lots of novels, from fiction to things like How Can I Talk If My Lips Don't Move, which was one of the things that Temple Grandin recommended that we read. I got to be honest with you, I have had the same. I got a book out because I have boxes of books that I want to read, right? And I got a book out like day one of the, the isolation, and was like, oh, I love to read, but when I read to the distraction of everything else. Like I don't want to put it down, and I want to do, so I wait till I've got a little bit of time. I have not had time. I have not gotten to page 2 on that novel. I'm so jealous of all of you who have time to read. Okay. Someone is saying also the millions of specialist appointments that aren't nearby. It's free. So I love that providers can see my son in his home environment. And they said also the millions of specialists that aren't nearby. Many people have written in and said that they're getting to get telehealth appointments with experts that they couldn't have seen in person. What a great way to be productive during this emergency. I love that. And they say that I love the telehealth appointments. And somebody else said, this is rough for me, especially the way our school year ended. I miss being with my K-3 students with autism, because it's their classroom. There's been a lot of things that have been hard. Tom, what's been the hardest, and if you don't want to answer, don't, but what's been the hardest part of this isolation for you?
No, I'm happy to answer the questions. So the hardest part I've found was, and still is more or less ongoing, where my next paycheck is going to come from. But that's sort of an entrepreneurial caveat as it is. What I was able to discover through my own networking and through an actual random act of kindness, because I've found that by forming a new schedule, new routines, or new ideas, more and better things are starting to come my way. So when I wouldn't know where the next paycheck was, I was talking with someone. She told me to file for what's called pandemic unemployment assistance with the California Employment Development Department. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, don't you have to be laid off to get unemployment? And she says, no, you can be self-employed, still file. And if you can show that your business was substantially impacted by this pandemic, you could get some money for that. I said, all right. So I e-filed, sent in my claim. About a week later, they're saying, you're getting thousands of dollars every so often, and here's a debit card we're going to load the money onto. So I had all that uncertainty, like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of money. I'm going to be bone dry. But I found another way to keep myself above water. And it's ironic, I may actually be making more from this pandemic unemployment assistance than I did in all the other speaking engagements I was doing. So I'm going to do my best to wean off of that, or when the claim is done, I'm going to launch myself in another direction. But that is definitely the hardest part, is not being able to be in front of an audience, touch people on that level, be there physically with them, and be able to earn my keep. So I think that's been my hardest challenge, if you will, at this point.
There you go. Nancy, what's been the hardest part of this for you? You've been looking at this a little differently.
Right. I think it's been watching Wyatt, my son, have difficulties adjusting to not being in his regular schedule. As a child on the spectrum, he loves to have his regular activities and the things he counts on. And he just didn't understand when that was literally pulled away from him like a rug underneath him with no warning. Not being able to go to baseball, basketball, tutoring, karate, and having to do everything on Zoom. And not his main way of socializing was at school. So not having those things was a real hard adjustment for him. So that's the thing that's affected me most in this.
Yeah. And for me, I think the hardest thing about this has been that I've not been able to be with a few of my friends that like physically would have liked to have been with my friends, like Joanne Lara. And that, because I have health risk factors, we took the isolation very seriously, and because she has health risk, we took it very seriously, but that's been the hardest thing for me. So, it's interesting how different it is for different people, depending on, what your circumstances and where you are in your life. They're saying to you, Amanda has said, good luck to you, Thomas, and all that you do. And, we don't know when this is going to end, but we should let people know that you are doing webinars like Be Safe the Movie, and you are available to speak via long distance. And I'm sure, people are starting to get with it. And I'm sure that there are plenty of opportunities. I just got to do a keynote online, and I'm hoping that you're going to have those opportunities to do them online as well. And Tom is a great speaker, you guys.
Tom, what do you usually speak on? What are the topics you normally present on when you're doing your public speaking?
I talk about personal development as well as professional development, or what we call in the book that my mother and I wrote, Come to Life, we call it self-discovery. So I give keynotes about self-discovery. This is about knowing yourself, loving yourself, and being yourself. This is what people with autism need to hear. This is what parents, caregivers, allies of people with autism need to hear. So I give talks about that. I'm also a certified human potential coach. So I can ask you questions and do consultations, keynotes about how you can realize your full and true potential, really discover and tap into your own power and make the world a better place from it, regardless of the walk of life you may be from. And I've found some of my clients, in addition to people with autism, have been entrepreneurs, people that were in a corporate setting like I was. I'm a CPA and I left corporate America to do this full time. And people are starting to come to me, how did you get yourself through that transition? Or I'm thinking of leaving this financial job to do this, which is what I'm passionate about. What can we talk about with that? So that's how I'm available and how I'm continuing to make a difference virtually in the world, even if I can't meet you face to face. That is what I can offer.
Well, I wish you could see what they're writing in, or maybe you can see. So Lori Hartdorf, and so glad that you're here with us, said awesome, and she said you can fly, Thomas.
Oh, thank you.
They're all saying fly, Thomas, fly.
She's a good friend of mine, Lori Hartdorf. Good to hear from her.
And they're saying good for you. Amanda says good for you, Thomas. Getting it done. So we absolutely love that. We're just about out of time here, but talk to us, Tom, about where we can go to find out more about you, more about Be Safe the movie, more about the book Come to Life. Where can we go?
So to summarize at the beginning, we had besafethemovie.com. That's for the movie tools, products, and services to help people with and without autism learn how to interact with the police. That's besafethemovie.com. We had experienceautism.com for police training and events related to training the police about autism. We have my website, which is thomasiland.com, where you can order Come to Life, book me for a presentation. I do take virtual presentations. And I'm in the process of forming my own business. So one day I'll be launching a website, it's not up yet, called cometolifecoaching.com. You know, life coaching, well, this will be cometolifecoaching.com one day. And that's where I'm going to be flying to.
You will be flying. Well, Thomas, we just so enjoy having you here with us and the work that you do. It's so important right now. You've been doing a lot of live feeds too on Facebook, I've noticed.
And this is something, and this, we were talking about like forming new schedules, new habits, new routines for people with autism. So I knew I couldn't go out physically and give speeches, but I wanted to create new habits and new schedules and new routines for myself. So I decided every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. respectively, I would go on Facebook Live. I pose a question or a topic for discussion, and I tell a little story or share my own experiences with that topic. And then I put it out there. Okay, so tell me, what do you know about this? Or what's your experience with this? So I continue the thought and the conversation, even if we're not meeting in person. I'm also, if we want to talk a little bit about physical health, I'm eating out only once a week now. I used to do it frequently. I'm only eating out once a week now. And I've lost about 15 pounds in the last 3 months.
Good for you.
Improving my health.
You know what?
Eating more fruits and veggies.
Yeah, I'm really starting to feel like a slacker here, Thomas.
Nancy, are you eating out a lot through this?
No, we're not. We've been cooking at home during this whole pandemic. It's really opened up. We've been doing a lot of vegetarian dishes.
Yeah, well, I went vegan in the middle of all this because Anita Lesko encouraged me to, and and I've been cooking up a storm, and my husband has lost weight through this. We've not ordered a single thing from a restaurant since this started. My husband has lost a few pounds. My son has dropped like 10 pounds. I have not lost a single ounce. I'm holding it all in case of emergency, I guess. And I'm
You're still
exercising.
vegan though. How is the transition
good.
to being vegan, Ben?
For me, it wasn't that hard because I was vegan for most of my adult life and at least vegetarian for most of my adult life. I had only gone back to chicken and fish and turkey like 4.5, 5 years ago. So it wasn't hard for me. I was just like, oh, okay, now I'm not going to have chicken. It's a little bit hard in terms of what we instituted at the house is that they could, the boys could eat whatever they wanted for breakfast and lunch, but that I would make dinner and dinner would be vegan. And that was a little bit harder because it's so much easier to cook for them if there's meat involved. I had to be a little bit more creative because I love my vegetables. I got to be a little bit more creative to get them to eat their vegetables. And so we kind of have relaxed on that a little bit, that some nights it's free for all and they cook for themselves and then they can cook meat. But that was the hardest part. For me personally, it's not been hard. What's been harder is, and I haven't been completely successful, is that Anita's diet wants you to go off of all oils. And so I've gotten off of everything except for olive oil. And I just am having a little bit of olive oil from time to time, but I can't live without my olive oil. And the other thing is that you got to go off all of the vegan cheese. And I'm all about my vegan cheese now. So
Why do you have to go off vegan cheese?
because it's got a bunch of like ingredients in it that are not what's ideal.
Okay.
She encourages you to make your own vegan cheese, but that's a lot of nuts. And
and what do you cook with if you don't use oils?
she turned me on to this because I was like, how can you make vegetables with no oil? And she said, no. And I've got her book and it details it greatly. You just have to have a little bit of vegetable broth or water.
Okay.
And you get the pan. I have my good cast iron pan. You get the pan good and hot and you put the vegetables in and they sweat on their own first, and you get a nice little bit of caramelization thing going, and then you throw in either a little bit of water or a little bit of I've got this great organic veggie broth that I get now. It's low sodium. Throw that in there, and if you want, you're building your base for whatever your flavor is. So sometimes soy sauce, other times other things, maybe a little lemon juice. So you get me talking about food. We could go on forever. But it's great, and that part of it nobody has minded at all. But I'm still having the vegan cheese, and I think Anita's going to throw me out if I don't get it together. But I gotta have the vegan cheese. But we were talking about Anita Lesko's book. I don't think I have it here with me, but she's got many books, but you should check out her book.
Maybe while you're searching for that, one thing I've done that's given me a little bit of variety and also supports small businesses. Every Tuesday, I go to a local restaurant in my town and I take a picture of the food that I order. So recently I went to an Indian restaurant, and before that I went to an English restaurant. Before that I went to a Mexican restaurant. So I've got variety of all the different places I'm going to and supporting small business, and they're showing their gratitude. I got this card from an English restaurant in town saying thank you for your business, and they're still keeping themselves afloat through this pandemic. So I encourage people to support small business and not focus on those corporate fast food chains all the time, because I've taken out the corporate fast food in my diet and it's helping me big time.
Okay. They're asking Traven to pin the websites, and Traven, if you have the opportunity to do that, go through them one more time, Tom.
Sure.
And there's already somebody watching the show who would like for you to be on their show.
I love it. That's why I'm doing this. So the websites again, Traven, we have besafethemovie.com for the tools and services that help young people interact with the police and be safe with the police. Experienceautism.com for police training. That's evidence-based police training on autism. And finally, thomasisland.com. And there's no S in Iland. I know people they hear Iland, they think Rhode Island and spell it out like that, but there's no S in my last name. So thomasisland.com for Come to Life and my services.
There we go. Okay, so we are well and truly out of time now, but I thank you guys for being here. Want to remind everybody to check out, wasn't able to find Anita's book. It must be on the other bookshelf, but you can look her up, anitalasco.com. And but check out all of Thomas's things. And don't forget that later on today, if you are a friend of Joanne Laura, we're doing the celebration of life. To celebrate her life. It was her birthday on Wednesday. She wanted to have this party today. She's in the hospital. We don't get to have it with her, but we're going to have it with her virtually. So that's at the Ed Asner Family Center. Go to their Facebook page. It starts at the show. The center at home starts at 3 o'clock. The tribute to Joanne will start at 3:20. We understand that there is the potential for some celebrities, and Nancy and I will be there. So tune in for that. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be back with the show on Monday. Don't let me forget to tell you that we have Temple Grandin on Tuesday's show, and she's going to be talking about specifically the topic of how do we find and feed our kids' passions. So that's going to be super cool. She'll be live with us on Tuesday morning. We got Bonnie Yates on Monday, and the rest of the week I'll clue you in on Monday. But until then, give your kiddos a hug from me.
And give yourselves a hug from me.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good
Bye-bye,
weekend.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
You.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everybody.